All right, welcome back. We are covering the rectangular coordinate system in this video. I was going to do it in one, but I think I'm going to go ahead and split it up. Okay, so take notes. Take notes. Make sure you are keeping up with the homework. Okay, so 1.2. The rectangular coordinate system. Okay, so this is the coordinate plane that you've been graphing on in your past math courses. So it should be familiar to you. It's the XY plane. Okay, so it's important that you understand that the coordinate system is really just made up of two number lines. So this one, which is called the x-axis, is really just a number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive numbers on the right, negative numbers on the left. Okay? And then we have another axis called the y-axis. This here is also a number line with 0 right there in the center. And then the positives are up here. And the negatives are down here. Okay, so it's important that you understand where all the negatives and positives are. Okay, so these two axes break up the space into 4 quadrants. This one here is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And if I want to plot the points -3, 2, this -3 here represents the x-coordinate, and the 2 represents the y-coordinate. Okay, so if I want to plot this point, then I go to -3 on the x-axis. So -3 on the x-axis would be over here. And then I want to go +2 on the y-axis, which is right there. Okay, so right here is the point -3, 2. Okay, when we start doing trigonometry on the coordinate plane, it's important again to understand where it's negative and positive. So like over here in this quadrant, all of the x values are positive. Over here in this quadrant, the x values are negative. And over here in this quadrant, the x values are positive, right, in this quadrant. And then over here in this quadrant, the x values are negative, okay? And then same thing with the y values. Over here, the y values are positive. Over here, the y values are negative. And over here, the y values are negative. And up here, the y values are positive. Okay. All right, so let's go over the distance formula. Okay, so the distance formula is really comes from the Pythagorean theorem. So given 2 points, so I'll call this first point point 1, so we'll call these x1 and y1. And we'll call our second point x2 and y2. Okay. The distance between them is given by this formula. D for distance, you can use R for radius. It's all the same. But the distance is going to be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay? So this is just a formula that you need to memorize, but like I said, it comes from the Pythagorean theorem. So let's take a look. Where does it come from? Okay, so let's take a look and see how this distance formula comes from the Pythagorean theorem. All right, so suppose that you have a point over here, okay? So let's call this our first point, x1, y1. And the second point is over here, so we'll call this x2, y2, okay? And what I want to know is the distance that's between them, right? Okay, so if I draw a right triangle here, okay, so then I know that this bottom distance, I know that this leg here is some x distance, because remember you're on here, let me draw the plane. Okay, so let me do this so it's a little more, okay, and this here is x1, and this here is y1, and this here is x2, and this here is y2. All right, so here, this distance here is just the difference between x2 and x1, so x2 minus x1, right? So this is x2 minus x1. And this distance here, oops, getting too excited there. Okay, so this distance over here is just the difference between y2 and y1. So y2 minus y1. So, and I'm trying to find this distance d, right? Well, I have this little right triangle here, so I can use the Pythagorean theorem, right? I can say that y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared should equal to my hypotenuse squared, right? And if I solve for d, I'll take the square root of both sides, and I get this. And we see here, this here is our distance formula. Ta-da! Magic. Math magic. Because I'm a mathematician. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. All right, so here, let's go ahead and find the distance between -1, 5, and 2, 1. Okay, so we're going to use that formula. So let's go ahead and figure out which one we want to be x1, y1, and x2, y2. All right, I'm going to let this one be our first point, so I'll call that x1 and y1. And this will be our second point, so I'll call that x2 and y2. So my distance is going to be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is 5, squared. All right, this here, double negative, becomes plus. So that becomes 3 squared. And here, this becomes -4 squared. So this becomes 9 plus 16. That is square root of 25, which is 5. Okay? All right, so that's how you use the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points. That's also how you find the radius of a circle. Like, let's say you are here and you have a circle here, and you want to find the radius. Well, that's just the distance between these 2 points, right? So you'll see in your book, oftentimes they will not use D, they will use R. It's the same thing, distance, okay? Distance between 2 points. If you're on a circle, that would be the distance here between these 2 points, which would be the radius R, okay? So whether they use D or R, this formula finds the distance between 2 points, okay? All right, so you can start on the homework, and you can find the distance between 2 points problems. And good luck. And make sure you watch the next one so that you can see more things about angles in the coordinate plane. Okay, I'll see you.